Hey, what's up? So this is the HP 755G3 laptop. Before I get into the video, I'd like to say thank you to my brother for making this video a success. I'd also like to remind you guys to subscribe to this channel because 90% of you guys watching this have not subscribed yet, and your subscription matters a lot in motivating me to make these videos. So without much further ado, let's get into the review. For the design, the laptop looks very great. It has an aluminum body, and the finishing for the aluminum body is so good, to the point where it does not show any fingerprints at all. The laptop has a really nice keyboard that lights up when pressed, since it has LED lights for the background. This is very helpful, especially when you are doing any kind of work, when it's in the dark, or maybe when there's no electricity and you're trying to type something. You can be able to see each and every individual key because of the way it is lit up. Even the power button also lights up together with the mute button as well as the network button. Aside from lighting up, it has tons and tons of ports and slots. It has 3 USB ports. One USB port is for charging, the other one is for file transfer, the other one is a USB Type-C port. It also has a display port, a VGA port, an Ethernet port, a docking connector, a headphone or a microphone jack, and an AC port where you charge the laptop. It also has an external SIM card slot, talking about connectivity, which is very important. It also has an SD card reader slot. The touchpad is a glass touchpad. It has an on and off button, and it also has enabled gestures. For example, you can use 2 fingers to scroll. You can either scroll up or down. You can also use 2 fingers to zoom in and to zoom out of pictures and documents. Now for the display, as you can see, it has very huge bezels. This is expected because it is a laptop released back in 2015. For the upper bezel, it houses a dash cam or a dash camera, and in this case, this camera is not very good in terms of picture quality and all that. The display itself is 15.6 inches diagonally. It is not touchscreen. It is not 1080p or 760p, neither of those. It's actually 1366 by 768, which is about 768p. It's in between 760p and 1080p. It still marks the term HD and is still able to display really good graphics, either for gaming, for watching movies. They are very good, but they are not quite sharp. Another thing to keep in mind is that it is an anti-glare display, which means it does not reflect any background light in whatever situation that you are, and this is very good, which allows you to do a lot of work without getting distracted by the background light of the place that you're working on. I think that's all about the design. Now let's talk about the specs. So the laptop has an AMD Pro A10 H700B processor, which has 1.8 GHz clock speed with 4 cores and 4 threads. It is also paired with an AMD Radeon R6 GPU, or graphics processing unit if you might, and it runs 64-bit Windows 10 Pro. On top of that, it also has 512 GB of SSD storage. So what do all these features mean for the performance of this laptop? Well, to begin with, the performance of the laptop is very average, I can say. It's not very slow and it's not very fast. It's in between. The laptop can do some decent gaming. It is capable of playing games that were released back in 2015 and previous years, but that does not mean that it can't run games released later than 2015. It all depends on the graphics of the game, since if it's a very graphic intensive game, the laptop will not be able to handle it very well. You will definitely feel the laptop struggling a lot, and eventually you'll just have to quit and find a good game. Even at the lowest graphics, the game will still feel very laggy. But for games like TMS 15, American Truck Simulator, Euro Truck Simulator, Grand Theft Auto, both San Andreas 4, Vice City, and 3, the game is able to run them very smoothly with no problem at all, with an exception of the Grand Theft Auto 4, which will have to run at the lowest game settings as possible. Fortunately, for Euro Truck and American Truck Simulator, you can actually do some customization to your preference until you feel the game is running smoothly for you. You don't have to run it at the lowest graphics possible, and neither do you have to run it at the highest graphics possible. You can just customize the graphics in the settings to match the performance of your laptop. Other games that the laptop can handle include The Sims 4, City Skylines, also at the lowest graphics possible, and BeamNG. But for BeamNG, It will depend with the version that you downloaded. If you downloaded the latest version, the laptop will not be able to handle it. But if you download previous versions, especially versions that were released back in 2013, 2014, 2015, and the laptop will be able to handle it. Aside from gaming, the laptop can also do quite a good amount of video editing, because that's what I do. I'm a YouTuber. I edit a lot of videos on my laptop, and to be honest with you, the laptop cannot handle very heavy video editing programs like DaVinci Resolve or Photoshop. They are very heavy, but that does not mean they can't run completely. They will run on the laptop. In fact, you might be able to do some editing, but you'll definitely feel the laptop is struggling a lot. But if you use other video editing programs like VideoPad, which are lighter, the laptop will handle it very well. Even in terms of rendering, you won't have any issues at all. For the heavier editing programs, I recommend you have no other programs running in the background while you are using that video editing program. For example, if you're using DaVinci Resolve, it is very important that you run the program alone without any other programs open in the background, because the experience won't be very good. Aside from video editing, you can also do quite some decent amount of coding for the programmers. The laptop is quite capable of running programs like Python, IDLE. I haven't tried any other, but for the most part, coding has never felt lagging or given me any issues at all. In fact, it's very smooth on this laptop. And at the same time, you can run other apps on the background while coding. For example, most of the time when I'm coding, I tend to use the Chrome app and the Python IDLE program at the same time. It has never felt laggy. Neither have I ever felt like the laptop is slowing down in any way. The laptop can also handle 3D modeling. For example, if you're using a program like Blender, 3D modeling is very smooth on this laptop. I wouldn't recommend that you keep other apps running in the background while using Blender, but that does not mean it won't run at all. But for the most part, it works very well and very smooth when you're using Blender alone. I haven't tried other softwares like CAD or the other 3D modeling softwares, but my guess is as good as yours. It will still run smoothly. Aside from that, it's an all-round laptop. Like I said, it's very average. It performs very good. It is able to open up and close large apps like Chrome smoothly, because Chrome is a very memory hungry software. It uses a lot of RAM, so the 8 gigs of RAM in this laptop are quite enough for it. In fact, you can comfortably expand the RAM for the laptop all the way up to 16 gigabytes. Now for the battery life. Laptops like this that were released back in 2015 didn't have a quite decent battery, but for the most part, this laptop is able to give me about 2 hours of screen on time in everything that I'm doing, with an exception of gaming and running other power hungry softwares or apps like Blender. For gaming, the laptop can comfortably give you 1 hour of non-interrupted gaming when you're not plugged in. For video editing, it's a whopping 2 hours, whether you're using DaVinci Resolve, VideoPad, it doesn't matter. If you're watching movies, I bet you can watch one whole movie all the way to the end without being plugged in. But for the most part, you're going to be using this laptop while it's plugged in, because that's how laptop batteries are made to be able to allow you to use the laptop and charge the laptop at the same time. It's not like your smartphone where you have to charge first, then use it all the way up to the end. And so how much does this laptop cost? The price depends on where you will be able to find this laptop and whoever will be selling it to you. I was able to get this laptop for around 30,000 Kenya shillings. That is after bargaining. But in other places, the laptop goes for around 40,000 Kenya shillings. So, what is my verdict about this laptop? Should you buy it, or should you consider getting another laptop for the same price? Honestly, I would say you should buy it, because if we average about 40,000 Kenya shillings for this kind of laptop and the performance it gives you, I honestly think it is a great deal. Keeping in mind that most laptops at 40,000 Kenya shillings, instead of giving you an SSD storage, it will give you HDD, which is slower than SSD, then I would consider buying this one. I didn't tell you this, but for 40,000 shillings, the laptop has an SSD of 180 gigabytes, which is very low. So you're going to have to spend an extra amount of money to add on the storage. But honestly speaking, if you can afford to accumulate 40,000 shillings for buying a laptop, then spending an extra 6,000 or 3,000 Kenya shillings to upgrade your storage won't be a problem at all. So anyway, that's been it. That's my review of the HP 755 G3 laptop. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, then a sub to the channel would be massively appreciated. My name is Caleb. This is Caleb Tech, and I hope to catch you guys in the next video. And as always, stay safe.